All right, you guys, so this is lesson 4.4, and it has to do with quadratic models, okay? So everybody take your highlighter, and I want you to highlight that word quadratic right there. Okay, tell me what a quadratic is, you guys. What is that?
Parabola.
It's a parabola, okay? So let's write down the word parabola. And the equation is some kind of x squared over there, okay? All right, now if you look through this lesson, if you take a second right now, guys, and you flip through and you look, the whole thing is word problems. Today's entire lesson is word problems, which as soon as you hear that, I think you get anxiety and you're like, ugh, word problems are tough. Who says, yep, that's me. Okay, so don't be afraid. Just follow the model that I show you it, and I really think you're going to be great. Okay, stick right with me. Please don't go ahead, okay? A soft drink manufacturer has daily production costs represented by this equation, where C is the cost in dollars and X is the number of units produced. Find the number of units that should be produced each day to yield a minimum cost and round your answer to the nearest whole number. Every single time you do these problems, the first thing I want you to do is write x equals and y equals. I feel like the number one reason that people mess up on word problems is they get mixed up what stands for what, okay? So look right here, guys. Do you see how it's solved for C? Whatever it's solved for is your y. So the y is the C. And if you read in the words what the C stands for, C stands for cost in dollars, okay? Make sure you're getting all this down, okay? The X is represented by an X, and if you read in there, it is the number of units produced, okay? So read the question. Find the number of units that should be produced each day to yield a minimum cost. You guys, what's that word that's sticking out to you? Minimum. Yeah, it's minimum, okay? This is a parabola. Guys, look, this is a parabola that opens up. How do I know it's a parabola that opens up? Because the number in front's a positive. So that vertex is a minimum. On this problem, they would never say maximum because it doesn't have a maximum. It keeps going forever, but it does have a minimum. Who says I understand that? Okay, so you've done this. This is just negative b over 2a. You're just finding, first we're going to find the x coordinate of the vertex. Now, it's important to note that this is out of order. So the a is in front of the x to the second, and the b is in front of the x. So just be careful. So it is negative b, which is negative 120, over 2 times a, which is 0.055. Okay, two negatives gives you a positive, so forget about the sign. I know it's a positive. Everybody grab your calculator and punch in 120 divided by parenthesis 2 times 0.055, close it off, hit enter, and I get 1090.909. I'm just going to write it like that for a second, okay? Now, what's that? It's the x coordinate of the vertex. What does the x stand for? The number of units produced. Read the question. Find the number of units that should be produced. So that's my answer. They want me to round it to the nearest whole, so it's 1091. You guys, every single word problem has a label. I don't care if it seems redundant. You still have to write it. What does redundant mean? Everybody tell me that. It means repetitive. I don't care if it seems repetitive. You still have to label it. So what does that stand for? It stands for units. And you're done. That's it. Okay, question 2. The marketing department at TI has found that when certain calculators are sold at a price of P dollars per unit, the revenue can be described by this function. Okay, everybody write down x equals y equals. Do you see how it's solved for R? Whatever it's solved for is my y. So my y is my R. And then you read, and that stands for revenue. So revenue is how much money you make off of that, what you bring in, okay? X is your P, and that is the price, and that is in dollars, okay? Read the question. What unit price should be used to maximize the revenue? You guys, I don't want you to get hung up with whether it says max or min. Because if it doesn't have a max, I'm not going to say max. If it doesn't have a min, it's not going to say min. This one says max because it's a parabola that opens down. So the vertex is a max. So everybody just go negative b over 2 times a. That's negative 21,000 over 2 times negative 150. 2 negatives is a positive. So that's 21,000 divided by 300, and that gives me 70. Okay, what does that stand for? That stands for the x-coordinate of the vertex, which is price. Read the question. What unit price? That's my answer. What's my label that goes with that, everybody? $sign. Good. Okay. Okay, read question B. If this price is charged, what is the maximum revenue? You guys, the revenue is the y. So they're asking me to maximize the y. Tell me what to do. Just plug it in. Yeah. Everybody write down R equals negative 150 times 70 squared plus 21,000 times 70. Now don't do anything on your calculator yet. Will you guys freeze for just a second? I want to make sure. Tell me how your notes are filled in.
I thought today was the 14th.
Okay.
And so I watched it last night and did the homework.
Oh, you already did the homework too.
Yeah.
So I don't want you to waste
Yeah.
your time. I'm not angry with you, but I don't want you to waste your time. So you can watch if you want to, or you can work on other homework if you want to. I hate wasting my own time. Don't you guys hate it when you do something and you're like, this is a waste of my time? And have 1,000 things to do. So you do what makes sense to you. I'm not angry. Everybody makes mistakes. Okay, let's practice storing in a value of 70. Okay, so everybody punch this in your calculator. Hit 70. And then on the left side, hit the store button. Okay, second button up. It's right here. Store button. And then hit enter. Okay, and now punch in that pink equation. So hit the white negative button, 150. Then mem bar is on the left, third button up. Hit that. Then hit enter. Then hit your x squared button. Then punch in plus 21,000. And then hit that mem bar again. Hit enter, enter, and it's 735,000. Now, would I have programmed in 70 on that problem? Probably not, but I just wanted you to practice because we're going to do that in a second, okay? If I answer like that, you guys, I'm not going to get full credit. Tell me what the problem is. There's no label, which is a $sign. Where does my $sign go, at the beginning or at the end? At the beginning. Yeah, that's it. Okay, who says this is easy? Raise your hand, like easy. Okay, nice, right? Okay, example 3. A baseball is hit at a point 3 feet above the ground at a velocity of 100 feet per second. Stick right with me, okay? At an angle of 45 degrees with respect to the ground. The path of the baseball is given by this equation, where f of x is the height and x is the distance from home. Okay, what's the first thing I always want you to do? X equals y equals. Then I want you to look at your equation. It's solve for f of x. That's my y. Read the words. F of x is the height of the ball, and that is in feet. The x is represented by x, and that is the distance from home, and that is also in feet. Okay? Take your pencil and very lightly, don't scribble, but very lightly cross through that entire first sentence. You don't need that first sentence. You're not going to use the 3, you're not going to use the 100, and you're not going to use the 45. Someone raise your hand and tell me why you don't need that sentence. Go ahead, bud.
It's just describing the equation you highlighted.
Yeah, they took those numbers in. That's how they came up with that equation. So it's because they already incorporated that into the equation. Good. Okay, question A. Where will the ball be when it reaches a maximum height? There's that word again, right? So everybody just go negative b over 2a. So that's negative 1 over 2 times negative 0.005. Now, 2 negatives is a positive, so I don't have to worry about the sign. You grab your calculator and put it in. I'm not going to tell you what to push, and I want to make sure that you know how to do it correctly. Okay, you should have gotten 100 for your number. Does anybody need help getting that number? Okay, 100 is the x, which is the distance from home. Read the question. Where will the ball be? That's the answer. So my answer is 100 feet from home. That's my answer, and I'm done. Just guess. What do you think they want you to do in part B, everybody? What do you think they're going to ask you to do? Plug it in or maximize the y. What is y is height? Read the question. What's the maximum height? So this is just f of 100 is equal to negative 0.005. And then it's 100 to the second plus 100 plus 3. Put that in your calculator by yourself and see if your number matches my number. Okay, you should have 53 feet as an answer. Okay, does anybody need help getting that? Okay, everybody look right here. This next part is a little bit tough, so I want you to watch closely, okay? Look, here's your quadrant 1. X stands for distance from home, and Y stands for height. So the ball gets hit right here, 3 feet above the ground. It flies through the air. And there's your pitcher, okay? Read the question. How far from home plate will the ball be when it reaches the ground? Someone raise your hand and tell me where on that picture the ball is on the ground. Where is it on the ground? Thanks, honey. The x-intercept, exactly. Okay, it's right here. You guys, what do you know about that x-intercept? Can you tell me? Y is 0. Well, that makes sense. Guys, look, the y value stands for height. And if it's on the ground, then the height is a 0. Who says I understand that? So all you're going to do is you're going to let y be a 0. So everybody go negative 0.005, x to the second plus x plus 3 equals 0. Okay? Now I want you to freeze it. I just want to talk to you for a second. Everybody listen, okay? Could I, with a C, could I sit and try to factor that? Yes or no? Yes, I could. Should I? Never. Could I, with a C, complete the square? Yes, I could. Should I? Never. What's the easiest way to do this thing? Quadratic formula, right? So everybody go, x equals negative 1 plus or minus the square root of 1 squared is 1. Minus 4 times a, which is negative 0.005, times c, which is a 3, all over 2 times a, that's 2 times negative 0.005. I want you to just sit and listen for a second. I don't want you to write anything. And if you really connect with what I'm saying to you, you guys, it's going to save you a lot of work, and it could mean the difference between getting this right and getting it wrong. Okay, everybody just listen. Don't write. Let's say I simplified this, and it was negative 1 plus or minus the square root of 20 over 0.002. It's not. I just made those numbers up. Well, then what would my next step be? My next step would be 20 is 2 times 10. 10 is 2 times 5. These things pull out. Then I get this, plus or minus 2 square root of 5, all over this. And then I try to reduce, and maybe I reduce wrong. All of this right here is completely unnecessary. So why would you take all these little steps that are not necessary, where you could make a mistake at all of those spots if you don't have to? Someone tell me what in that problem tells me that all of this simplifying business isn't even necessary. How do you know that? Read the directions on part C.
Oh, the decimals.
They want it as a decimal. So you can literally just stick that in, pop out the decimal, done. All this little simplifying stuff completely unnecessary and definitely a place where you could make some mistakes that we don't want to make. Who says, I understand what you're saying? Okay, great. Now I want you to look at that. Don't touch your calculator. We're going to do it together. It's pretty complex. I have to add parentheses in 2 places. Someone tell me where. Where do I have to input parentheses?
For the -1.
Okay, before the -1. And where do I close that?
And it's the square root.
Okay, so around the top, right? And where else do I have to do it, everybody? Around the bottom. Okay, now before we start, I want to show you. It's really so easy to put in. Look, you just follow the steps. Watch, guys. Parenthesis, -1, plus, you're going to access square root. Don't do it yet, okay? 1 minus 4, parenthesis, -0.005, close, new parenthesis, 3, close. We're going to talk about how many closes divided by parenthesis. One thing I do differently, which you don't have to, but I always do, I know that means multiply, so I just go 2 times -0.005. That's how I put that in, okay? Okay, grab your calculator. We're going to do it together. Okay, nice and slowly, parenthesis. Hit the white negative button, 1, plus. To access the square root, you go second x squared. Freeze right there. Look at your calculator. Do you see that the calculator automatically inputted a parenthesis right there? Do you see that on your screen? Keep that in mind, okay? Then go 1 minus 4 parenthesis, -0.005, close parenthesis, new parenthesis, 3. Now I want you to freeze right there. I want you to help me figure out how many times we have to close. So you guys talk to me. The first time I close the what? Tell me. The 3. The second time I close the what, everybody? The square root. Am I done closing? The third time I close the what? The top, okay? So I want you to draw an arrow right there, and I want you to write close, close, close. 3 closes, okay? Then go divided by parenthesis, 2 times -0.005, close it, enter. Please don't clear your calculator. Just let it sit. Don't hit any buttons unless I tell you. So this is -2.96. Now you have 2 answers because you have a plus or minus. So everybody go up, right, override that plus with a blue negative, hit enter, and you get 202.96. Don't clear your calculator, okay? You guys, let's think about this. You're playing baseball. You guys, look right here. You're playing baseball. X is the distance from home. I hit the ball. What does a -x mean? Where did my ball go? Behind me, right? And can you play baseball if the ball goes behind you? No, that's a dead ball. And besides that, it's feet. You can't have negative feet. That doesn't make sense, okay? So here's what you have to write. You have to write invalid solution. And that 202.96 is your answer. That's in feet. Highlight your answer and you're done. Still don't clear your calculator. I want to tell you a couple more things. You have to write down this -2.96. Even though it doesn't work, you have to acknowledge that that's a solution. Then you also have to write the words invalid solution. So if you omit those, you'll lose 2 points. Okay? Now, here's something else I want to say. We're done with the problem, but I'm not really done yet. Listen, when you take your midterm in 4.5 weeks, you're going to study about 12 hours for that midterm. A lot. We're going to start like a week before. I'm going to put a study schedule together just like I did in 1010, but you're going to study really hard because it's big, okay? Well, after studying for 12 hours and you finally sit down to take that test, if you can check an answer, why wouldn't you? Like, that's amazing that you can check it. This problem is completely checkable, guys, because look, if I put in 202.96 into that left side and I get a 0, I know I did it right. Who says I understand? But you can't to put 202.96. You have to put this exact value that you still have on your calculator, right? So everybody hit store right now on the left side and then hit enter. Then punch that equation in, -0.005 mem bar enter x squared plus mem bar enter plus 3 enter, bam, I just checked my answer. I walk away with 100% certainty that I just got that problem right. Okay, who says I understand? Okay, great. Okay, here we go with example 4. A projectile is fired from a cliff 500 feet above the water at an angle of 45 degrees with a muzzle velocity of 400 feet per second. In physics, it's established that the height of the projectile is given by this equation, where x is the distance of the projectile from the base of the cliff. Tell me what to do right now. X equals y equals. Writing x equals y equals and what they stand for literally will take you like 30 seconds, and it could save you. It's solve for h of t. It tells you that h of t is the height, and you can tell from the first sentence that it's all in feet. The x really is an x, and it is the distance from the cliff, and this is also in feet. Okay. Question A, at what horizontal distance from the face of the cliff is it at a maximum? It's just negative b over 2a. So it's just negative b over 2a. That's negative 1 over 2 times negative 0.0002. Two negatives is a positive. Stick it in your calculator and see what you get. Okay, you should get 2,500. That's the x. X stands for distance from the cliff. Read the question, at what distance from the cliff? That's my answer, 2,500 feet. Okay, you guys, what do you think they're going to have you do on part B? Talk to me. What do you think they're going to have you do, everybody? Plug that in, right? So what is the maximum height? That's just the maximum y. Everybody write h of 2,500 equals. You need to write that notation. Then go negative 0.0002 times 2,500 squared plus 2,500 plus 500. You guys, I want you to store that 2,500. So go 2,500, store, enter. Then negative 0.0002 mem bar enter x squared plus mem bar enter plus 500, hit enter, and I get 1,750. That's my y, which is height. My label's in feet, and I'm done. Okay, question C. How far from the base of the cliff will the projectile strike the water? Take your highlighter and highlight strike the water. Up above that, I want you to write the words hit the ground. Strike the water, hit the ground, you do the same thing. Somebody tell me what we do. Y equals 0. Exactly. Okay, so everybody go negative 0.0002 x to the second plus x plus 500 is equal to 0. Easiest way to do that is quadratic formula. So everybody go x equals negative 1 plus or minus the square root of 1 squared is 1 minus 4 times negative 0.0002 times c, which is 500, all over 2 times negative 0.0002. You put it in your calculator all by yourself. Basically, try to finish the problem. Come up with the two things, decide if they're both valid, give it a label, plug it in and check it. I want you to do the whole thing, okay? When you're done, you can look forward, okay, and see if yours matches mine. Okay, so the answer is 5,458.04 feet. If you store an exact value of that answer in, plug it back in to the left-hand side, you will definitely get a 0. Raise your hand if you would like for me to holler out what buttons to push to get those numbers. Okay, let's do it, Peyton. Okay, so you're going to do this, bud. You're going to go parenthesis, white negative button, 1, plus second, x squared. 1 minus 4 parenthesis, negative 0.0002, close parenthesis, new parenthesis, 500, close it, close it, close it, divided by parenthesis, 2 times white negative button, 0.0002, close it, enter. There's your first guy. Then go up, right, change the plus to a minus, yada, yada, yada. Okay, anybody, anything else? Okay, here we go, example 5. So guys, let me just say something really fast. This problem right here and many of those to follow, they were not even part of this lesson before, and we were just kind of stuck this in last semester. So this is new, and it did show up, these new problems did show up. There's one that's highlighted in a minute. Is the only one that's highlighted on this section? Oh, you guys don't know what I'm talking about. We haven't done it yet. There is one problem that showed up on the midterm, and I'll show you which one it is, okay? Let x and x plus 2 be 2 consecutive odd integers. Okay, so guys, look. 2 consecutive odd integers would be like 17 and 19, or 101 and 103. So it's one odd and then the next odd, okay? Whose product is 195. You guys, if you don't know what product means, you're not going to get this problem right, okay? So what does product mean? Can anybody tell me? Say it again.
Like the product of 2 things added together.
So product is not add. Add is sum. Product is multiply. Good. So you take the x and the x plus 2, and you multiply those together because that's what product means, and the product is 195. Okay? Now I have to solve that. Do I do this, guys? Look, I've got people doing some funny stuff. Does that mean x is 195 or x plus 2 is 195? Is that the step I take? No. If you do that, then you're saying the only 2 numbers in the whole world that give me 195 are 1 and 195. And that's false. So you can't do that unless you've got a 0 over there. Tell me with one word what to do right here. Distribute, yeah. And you have x to the second plus 2x equals 195. Tell me what to do here, guys. Yeah, look what people are doing. Look right here for a second. Look at this. Don't write this down. I'm not trying to be rude. Please don't think I'm trying to be rude. But if a person does that, are they a little bit confused or a lot of bit confused? Which one? A lot. That's very, because what in the heck are you going to do with that? It's just a mess. There's nothing you can do with it. So please don't square root, okay? So instead of that, now tell me what to do, guys. Move your 195. So you have x a second plus 2x minus 195 is equal to 0. Okay, now these numbers are big. 195, right? So you can sit and try to factor, but if you can't come up with those numbers, what if you used the quadratic formula? Would you get the same answers either way? Guys, talk to me. Same answer either way, right? And this actually, let me say one more thing. Is it going to be 5 times whatever to give you 195? I know it's not going to be 5 because 5 is small. The other number is going to have to be big, and I'm trying to subtract to give me 2. 5 is too far away from the other number. It's not going to be 5. Who says I understand what you're saying? Okay, so at least a couple of us are connecting there. Okay, the x a second is going to go to an x and an x, and it's actually 13 and 15. So 13 and 15 multiply to give me 195 and subtract to give me 2. The biggest is the positive, so the 15 is a positive and the 13 is a negative. So if I set that equal to 0, I get x equals 13. Set that equal to 0, I get a negative 15. Now read the directions. Find the value of x if x is greater than 0. Well, negative 15 is not greater than 0. So underneath there, I'm going to say invalid solution. And I only have one answer, and that is x equals 13. And I'm done. Okay, who says, I feel fine about this lesson so far? Give me feedback, how you're feeling. Okay, great. Okay, example 6. I want you to add, okay, first of all, I want you to highlight this problem. This was on the midterm. And I want you to add another problem right here. And what I want it to say, is, are there two, I don't know if it said two, I'm going to say, are there multiple triangles possible? Something like that. Okay, here we go. The hypotenuse of a right triangle is 5. You guys, I'm super visual, so I want you to draw a right triangle. Okay, what does right triangle mean? Talk to me about that. One of the angles is 90. Thank you. And then the hypotenuse is 5. Which of those 3 sides is the hypotenuse, guys? Across from the 90, right? So that's a 5. The other 2 sides are represented by x and x plus 1. Does it matter where I put them? No. And now they want me to find x. How do I find x, everybody? What can I do with that triangle? Think back to geometry. You're right. It's the Pythagorean theorem. So the guy that's across from the hypotenuse, I call him the loner. He's alone. So the 5 is alone and squared. Then I take the other 2 sides and I square them and I add them together. So it looks like that. Pythagorean theorem. Okay, everybody tell me with one word what the next step is that you're going to take right here.
Write out x plus 1 twice.
And then what are you going to do? Foil it. Yeah, we're just going to foil. So see this x squared right here? I'm just going to write that guy down. And now I'm going to foil that in my head. And I get x to the second plus 2x plus 1 equals, and then on the other side, 5 squared is 25. Okay? Now, I'm going to clean up the left, and I'm going to pull that 25 over. So everybody write down 2x to the second plus 2x. The 25 comes over and becomes a negative. So I have negative 24 equals 0. So that's what I've got now. You tell me what you would do next, guys. What would you do? Take out a 2. Do you have to take out a 2? What do you think? You don't have to, but it's way easier if you do. So take out a 2, and you're left with x to the second plus x minus 12. You guys, some of you are being kind of lax with your work. That line, it's not correct. Like literally that is not correct. What's wrong? Equals 0. Okay, and then let's continue to factor that. So it goes to an x and an x. The 12 goes to a 3 and a 4. Because they multiply to give me 12 and subtract to give me 1, the biggest is a positive. So it looks like that. Now look what I'm doing. I'm multiplying this by this by this, and I'm getting a 0. Can the 2 be equal to 0? No. X plus 4 gives me x equals negative 4. X minus 3 gives me positive 3. Think about what x stands for, and somebody talk to me about that answer. I'm going to wait till you guys do. Talk to me about that answer. Okay, look at the picture, guys. Everybody look right here. What does X stand for? Talk to me. Guys, look at the picture. Do you see an X? Say it again. The length of a side. Everybody in the room say that. The length of a side. Okay, now I want you to look over here. Now I want you to talk to me about those numbers. Say it again.
One's a negative.
Okay, so what about that?
Can't have a negative side length.
Can't have a negative length. You're exactly right. So right there, I'm going to put invalid solution. And read the directions. It says solve for x. So it is x equals 3. Done. The second part asks you, are there more than one triangle possible? You guys look at the picture, and do you see how we've labeled that? Well, if x is 3, then you've got a triangle that looks like this, 5 and 3 and 4. Is that different than a triangle that looks like this, 4 and 3 and 5? Those are not different. They're the same. Okay? So are there 2 triangles possible, or are there multiple triangles possible? The answer is no. Okay? Now, I want you to listen carefully to this, okay? Last semester, the final for my 1050 class was pretty tough. It was pretty tough. We were put all these twists, not all these twists, but there were probably 4 problems with like all these crazy twists in them, okay? Who said, yep, I heard that. You agree, Abby? Abby's like, yep. She was in it. So here's what I think they could do. Here's an example of a twist they could give you. Everybody look right here, okay? What if you were doing a problem for this, just like this, and you got x equals 1 and x equals 4? Well, they're both valid. So then when you plug them in, and I know the numbers aren't going to make sense. The triangles aren't going to work out. But then it would be 5 and 1 and 2, and then it would be 5 and 4 and 5. Because this 1 went here, this 4 went there. So if both of these work, if they're both positive, then you actually have 2 triangles that are possible. Who says I understand that? And I know the numbers on that triangle don't make sense, but that's the idea of what I'm trying to tell you. Okay? Okay, here we go with question 7. A farmer has 2,000 yards of fencing to enclose a rectangular field. Okay? What are the dimensions of the rectangle that encloses the most area, and what is the maximum area? Okay, everybody grab your pencil, and I want you to draw a rectangle. Okay? This is the length, and this is the width. Okay, write that down, please. Then I want you to put a little asterisk right there. This problem's not super easy. It's pretty complex, so I want you to watch closely. Right here, I want you to write down the words, use only one variable. And now I've already broken my rule because I've got 2 variables. That's okay. I'm going to fix it in just a second. You've actually done this before. This was in secondary 3. I know that because I do tutoring on Thursdays after school, and I've helped them with this. I was like, wow, that's my 1050 kids do that. Okay, so look, if the right's a W, so's the left. If the bottom's an L, then so's the top. So you have 2,000 yards of fencing. Hey guys, before I start, let me say one thing. Look what they're saying. What are the dimensions of the rectangle that enclose the most area? What is the maximum area? There's that word. So that would be negative b over 2a. But what don't we have that we've had on every problem before this, you guys? An equation. So you have to come up with the equation and then do the negative b over 2a. Okay, so that 2,000 has to cover 2 widths and 2 lengths. Okay, then I want you to put an asterisk right there, and I want you to write down the words, always solve for L. So I want you to bring the 2w over to the other side. So now you have 2L equals 2,000 minus 2w. I'm solving for L, so I'm going to divide everything separately by 2, and I have L equals 1,000 minus w. Now I'm going to go back to my picture, and I'm going to get rid of the L, and I'm going to replace it with 1,000 minus w, and now I only have one variable. You guys, what am I trying to maximize? Somebody tell me that. Read the last question, guys. What am I trying to maximize? The area. How do you find the area of a rectangle, guys? It's length times width. So I want you to go area equals W times 1,000 minus W. Distribute the W, and you get 1,000 W minus W squared. And then I'm going to choose to reorder it so that I don't get confused about the values of A and B. Okay? Once you have that down, I want you to just freeze and don't write anymore. And I'm going to take a minute and just review over what I've done. Okay, so as soon as you're caught up. Okay, so look what I did. I had a W, W, an L, and an L. So my 2,000 has to cover 2 W's and 2 L's. Then I solved for L. Then I replaced it. And then I know area is this times this. So I did that, and then I simplified. Who says I'm good? Okay, now we're back to the original problem. So now I just want you to go negative B over 2 times A. That's negative 1,000 over 2 times negative 1. 2 negatives is a positive. 1,000 divided by 2 is 500. Now freeze right here. What does that 500 stand for? Can you tell me that? What is it? I can't hear you. It is the W. It's the x coordinate of that equation, which is the W. What does W stand for, everybody? The width. Okay. I want you to come right here, and do you see where it says dimensions? I want you to draw an arrow. If it says what are the dimensions, they want to know what is the length and what is the width. So read the question. What are the dimensions? So I know one of them is 500. So I'm going to go 500 yards by something yards. And I have to find the other dimension. How do I do that? Guys, look, I've got an equation right there. So I've got length equals 1,000 minus 500. So that is 500. So the rectangle is 500 yards by 500 yards. Now I'm not done. Read the question. What is the maximum area? So they want the dimensions and the area. Everybody look right here. You can take this 500 and you can plug it back in there and get your answer. But there's an easier way. If I know both the dimensions, the rectangle is just length times width, right? So I'm just going to go area equals 500 times 500, which is a 25 with 4 zeros. So it's 250,000. That is yards. Is that right? Yes, it's squared because it's area. So it's yards squared. That's it. Yes, sir.
Will you always want to find the length first?
Yes, always solve for L, and then that'll always put your equation in terms of W. Yeah, the more consistent you can be with this problem, the happier your life is going to be. Okay, here we go with question 8. A woman wants to make a rectangular run for her dog. So everybody draw a rectangle, and it should say rectangular. The pen is up against her house. So everybody go like this. See the bottom? I want you to mark that out, and I want you to put the word house right there. Well, she's not going to put fencing, along her house. That's unnecessary. So she has 100 feet of fencing. What dimensions does she need to maximize the area? Okay, so everybody go W and W and L. So her 1,000 feet has to cover 2 W's plus 1 L. I'm going to start questioning you, and I want you to remember what the next step is, okay? Don't look back at the last problem. What do we always solve for? L. So everybody write L equals 1,000 minus 2W. Go to your picture, erase the L, and replace it with 1,000 minus 2W. Tell me what to do now. Try not to look back at the last problem. What did we do next? Area. That's literally all I would say. Area. Because that's what I'm trying to maximize. So I'd go this guy right here times this guy right here. So everybody go area equals W times 1,000 minus 2W. Distribute, and you get 1,000 W minus 2w squared. I'm going to choose to reorder so that I don't get confused. Looks like that. Now I'm trying to maximize it. We're back to problem 1. So now I just go negative b over 2a. That's negative 1,000 over 2 times negative 2. 2 negatives is a positive. 1,000 divided by 4 is 250. Here's where people start getting confused. I feel like people get to this point, and this is where they fall apart. Everybody in the room, tell me what that 250 stands for. The width, right? It's the x-coordinate of that equation, which is the width. It's always the width. That negative b over 2a always is the width, okay? Read the question. What dimensions? Is 250 part of the answer for this problem, yes or no? What does dimensions mean? Everybody in the room, tell me, what does it mean? Length and width. So is the 250 an answer? Talk to me. Yes, it is. So it's going to be 250 feet by something feet. How do I find the other guy? Somebody tell me. Go to that length formula, right? So it's length equals 1,000 minus 2 times 250, and you have to show that work, and you get 500. Am I done, everybody? No. What do they want now? Area. So it's going to be area equals 250 times 500, and you get 125,000. It's area, so it's feet squared. There's my answer. Who says I'm fine? Let me see. Okay, great. Okay, example 9. A woman wants to enclose a rectangular garden. Okay, everybody draw the garden. It's attached to her home. Will you guys look right here? If I wanted to, could I put the house right there? Yes or no? Yeah. Could I put it here? Sure. Not both. Could I put it here? Sure. It doesn't matter. But you know what I always do? I always do it the same. Because I feel like the more consistent I am, then there's not going to be any surprises. Okay? So I always put the house down there. Okay, she's going to divide the garden into 2 identical plots with a fence parallel. See where it says to one of the sides? I want you to put to 2 of the sides. So don't draw this on your paper, but guys, look. That totally works because that line is parallel to 2 of the other sides. And it cuts it perfectly in half. Who says I'm with you? Okay. There's another option. Is this an option? Why not? It's not parallel to the other sides. It still cuts it in half, right? But it's not parallel. I always, always, always do it like that. So I'm consistent. Then there's no surprises. Okay. So what do I have? I have a W and a W and an L. Is that all I have? What do I have? One more W. Okay, so my 1,200 has to cover 3 W's and 1 L. You tell me, what do I do now? Solve for L. So I have L equals 1,200 minus 3W. Go to your picture, erase the L, rewrite it with 1,200 minus 3W. Tell me with one word what to do now. Area. Yep, you guys are awesome. So it's just this times this. So I'm going to go area equals W times 1,200 minus 3W. You guys, I'm just going to tell you, you guys are smart. I'm going to distribute and reorder in the same step. So that would give me negative 3W to the second plus 1,200W. I'm happy if you do that. You don't have to. If it freaks you out, then don't do it. Okay? What do I do now? Remember the next step. What do I do? Negative b over 2a. Everybody write that down. So that's negative 1,200 over 2 times negative 3. 2 negatives is a positive. 1,200 divided by 6 is 200. Okay? This is not a very big class, but I want every person to talk to me right now. What does that 200 stand for? Tell me. The width. Thank you. Read the question. What is the largest area the garden can enclose? Is 200 part of the answer for this problem? It is not. 200 is a dimension, but they didn't ask for dimension, they asked for area. Everybody listen, you have two options. You can find the length and then multiply the length and the width together. I think it's just as easy to just find that area, okay? So everybody go, area equals -3 times 200 squared plus 1200 times 200. Okay, grab your calculator and stick it in exactly how you see it. And you get 120,000. This is an area, so this would be feet squared, and I'm done. Who says I'm good? Let me see. Okay, example 10. Suppose the area of a rectangle is 120 square inches. Everybody draw that rectangle. The length is 14 meters greater than the width. Everybody listen, this is the biggest part of this problem right here. Do you see how they're comparing the length to the width? Whatever you're comparing to stays what it is. So the W stays a W. And now they're comparing the length to the width. So it's 14 meters greater than the width. Tell me what to put right here for my length, everybody. Is it L? Is that right? It's the width plus 14. Okay, good. And that goes here. Now read the words. The area is 120. Well, that's just length times width. So it's a W times W plus 14. That's my area is 120. Tell me with one word what to do, everybody. Distribute. You have W to the second plus 14W. Tell me what's going to happen with that 120. I'm going to pull it over, right? So let's do that right now. Minus 120 equals 0. Okay, now this is another one. You guys, 120 is a big number, right? So it might take you a minute to find it. It's actually 20 and 6. 20 and 6 multiply to give me 120 and subtract to give me 14. The biggest is the positive. So the 20 is the positive and the 6 is the negative. Set that equal to 0. I get W equals 6. Set that equal to 0. I get a negative 20. Now somebody talk to me. Can't have a negative. Why can't you have a negative, Camille?
Just doesn't make sense to have
It does.
negative feet.
Negative feet, yeah, that doesn't make sense, right? So you're going to go invalid solution. And then you're going to come over here and you're going to say my width is 6. Oh, by the way, there's a typo. I don't know if anybody noticed this. Do you see how this is in inches and this is in meters? That should not be the case. So change your meters to inches. So they're the same units, okay? So the width is 6 inches. And the length would then be, what would that be, guys? 20. Yep, 6 plus 14 is 20 inches. I can check this answer in 20 seconds. Do you multiply those together and they give you 120? Yep. Is 2014 bigger than 6? Yep, I just checked that. That easy. Okay, who says I'm with you? Let me see. Okay, 11 is kind of tough. I'm just warning you. Okay, all right. You have a rectangular garden. It should say rectangular. Okay, so draw in that garden. And I'm even going to write the word garden inside of it. It's 10 feet by 12 feet. It doesn't matter if you put the 10 on the bottom or the 12 on the bottom. I'm just going to do it like that. Then there's a walkway all around that garden. Okay, so now I'm going to draw another rectangle that is the walkway that goes all the way around. Now the walkway is the same width all the way around that thing, okay? The total area of the whole thing is 420, Okay, everybody watch right here. I have to find that length right there. Okay, I'm going to let the walkway be represented by a W. Okay, so this is a W and this is a W. So the whole purple, I have to incorporate this 10 and this W and this W. So someone tell me how to represent the length of the purple. Talk to me. Say it again. Yeah, 10 plus 2W. You've got 2 W's and the 10. Okay, now let's look at the other dimension, you guys. Look at it this way. So now we have a W here and we have a W here. So now I have to represent this pink. So I've got to incorporate the 12 and the W and the W. Tell me the distance of the yellow, everybody. 12 plus 2W. Yeah. Oh, see the 420, by the way? I want you to change that 420 to 168. Okay. So now the whole area is 10 plus 2W times 12 plus 2W is equal to the area, which is 168. Look at what I've done. What I've done is wrong. Why is that wrong? Why does that matter? He said you have to put parentheses around the 10 plus 2W. Why does it matter?
Because it's length times width. Otherwise, you'd just be typing the 2W.
I'm just multiplying the 2W right now, and I'm supposed to multiply the whole thing. Yes, you're exactly right. Thanks, bud. Tell me with one word what to do right here, everybody. FOIL. So everybody go 120 plus 20W plus 24W plus 4W squared is equal to 168. I'm going to clean up the left, and I'm going to pull that 168 over to the left as well. So now I have 4W to the second plus 44W. Pull the 168 over, it becomes a negative, and I get negative 48. Please don't forget your equals 0. What would you do now? Tell me what you would do. Take out a 4. Do you have to take out a 4? No, but it's way easier if you do. So you have W to the second plus 11W minus 12. Now I factor that. So it goes to a W and a W. The 12 goes to a 12 and a 1. Signs are different. Biggest is the positive. So the positive goes there and the negative goes there. So I've got this times this times this that gives me 0. The 4 does not give me 0. This gives me W equals 1. The next guy gives me W equals negative 12. Somebody talk to me about that. Doesn't work, right? So you have to write the words invalid solution on that negative because W's a width. And it's right there. So the answer is 1. So the length of the walkway is 1 foot. And we're done. That's it. Okay, 2 more problems. Who says, this is long, but I still feel okay. I feel okay about this. Okay, yeah, it's kind of like this, huh? It's a little, I think it's kind of tough. Okay, I want you to watch me do number 12, and I don't want you to write anything down. Okay? Okay, find the price of the hot dog that maximizes the revenue. Negative B over 2A, that's negative 18,000 over 2 times negative 2,000. A negative divided by a negative is a positive. 18,000 divided by 4,000 is 4.5. And then I would label it and fix it. It's wrong. It's wrong. Why is it wrong? Thanks, honey.
You use C as B and B as A.
I'm going to say no, but I think you're on the path to figuring the problem. What's the problem, bud?
It's not a quadratic equation.
Yeah. This is not a quadratic. That's not a parabola. Guys, what is it? It's a line. If I do that, and that's all I do, I'm trying to find the vertex of a line. Does a line have a vertex? No. So I have to make this a parabola. The only way you can maximize something is if we get that to a quadratic. How do I do that? Look at it. It's telling you right there in those words, but you have to read. You have to be careful in this class. You have to read and pay attention to detail. What do I do? Camille, read number 12. Everybody listen, and Camille's going to read it.
Just like part A or the whole thing?
From a football
Okay.
to the end of A.
A football
Listen,
stadium,
guys.
A football stadium sells X equals 18,000 minus 2,000 P hot dogs for price of P dollars. What price of a hot dog maximizes the revenue? And then it says in parentheses R equals XP.
She just read somewhere in there the key to getting this to a parabola. Somebody tell me. Thank you.
We just switch the X in the 1800 or wait, never mind.
It's okay. Come on, guys. I'm going to sit here and wait. We're going to make it. We should make it.
We said 1800 equal to negative 2000 P.
No.
No?
No. Good try. Guys, look at A. That's right. That's it. Highlight that. Because we struggled with that for a minute. That's how you're going to turn it into a parabola. Everybody write down R equals. Then write down what X is, which is 18,000 minus 2,000 P, and multiply that by P. That's X times P. If you distribute and reorder, you get negative 2,000 P squared plus 18,000 P. Now I've got a parabola. Now I can maximize it. Who says I understand? Yes or no? Who understands? Okay, this showed up on my final or my midterm a little bit ago. Now my work is right. But if I don't turn it into a parabola, I lose every single point on this question. So go ahead and copy down the work I have there, that negative b over 2a. And now it's right. The X is the P, which stands for price. The Y is the R, which stands for revenue. We just found the X, which is 4.5. Read the question. What price? That's your answer. What's my label? A $sign. If you answer like that, I would take off a point. I just want you to know that. Why would I take off a point, everybody? You're talking about money. Yeah, money goes 2 decimal places. Good. Okay, question B. What is the maximum revenue? Guys, you just plug it in. Do I plug it right here into that green? Yes or no? Where do I plug it? Into the parabola. Good. So everybody go R equals negative 2,000 times 4.5 squared plus 18,000 times 4.5. Plug that in. When you plug that in, you get 40,500. What's my label, everybody? $sign. Done. Okay, question 13 is probably equally difficult. A is not bad. B is not so great. Okay, everybody write X equals Y equals. It's solved for D. That's your Y. That stands for distance. This is how long it takes your car to stop when you slam on your brakes. V is the X, and that stands for miles per hour. Okay, read the question. How many feet will it take a car traveling 42 miles per hour to stop on dry level concrete? You guys, I need you to tell me, is my 42 an X or is my 42 a Y? It's an X. And now I look at the equation. Is that the D or is that the V? That's the V, yeah. So everybody go D equals 2.1 times 42 plus 0.05 times 42 squared. Grab your calculator. You guys, I have some people like sleeping, not writing down the notes, and you're not going to pass this class. You're literally not going to pass this class if that's what you're doing. Okay, 176.4, 176.4 what, everybody? Talk to me. It is distance in feet, yeah. So this is feet and you're done. So that was easy, okay? Look at 13B. This happened on a midterm pretty recently. Okay, everybody watch. If an accident occurs 150 feet ahead of you, what is the maximum speed you could be traveling? I don't like should. Could be traveling to avoid getting involved. Round your answer to 2 decimal places. Look what my students did. Don't write this down. Negative b over 2a applied to that equation, and they missed every single point. They read that maximum, and they immediately thought vertex. This one's different. And I tried to get Weaver to get rid of that maximum. I've tried to get him to stay like, you know, I don't know. I reworded it, but anyway, they kept it there. Okay, so everybody listen. You're driving down the road and there's an accident. If you're going 100 miles per hour, it's going to take you a lot longer to stop than if you're traveling 60. Okay, who says I understand? So they're asking you, what's the fastest you could be going and not hit it? Like if you're going 65, you stop perfectly and you avoid that accident. Okay, you guys, if I did negative b over 2a, what did I not incorporate in the problem at all? That 150, right? So 150 feet ahead of you, that's where the accident is. Is that an X or is that a Y, everybody? That's a Y. So you have to go 2.1v plus 0.05v squared is equal to 150. So some people did that and then they maximized it. No, you just solve it. That's all you do. So bring your 150 over. So 0.05v squared plus 2.1v minus 150 is equal to 0. Tell me what to do now. Quadratic. Everybody go v equals negative 2.1 plus or minus the square root of, go 2.1 x squared, and you get 4.41 minus 4 times a, which is 0.05, times c, which is negative 150, all over 2 times 0.05. You put it in your calculator by yourself. I want to see if you can do it.
How did you get the 4.41 again?
2.1 squared. Yeah. When you think you have your answer, store it and put it back in and see if it checks out. Okay. So the answer is 37.66. Okay. So if you didn't finish, write that down. Make sure you still write the other one down and write invalid. Okay.